let's cut right to the chase. The number one constructed card from Secrets of Strixhaven for constructed formats is, drumroll please, Steam Vents. Steam Vents is an island mountain dual land that can enter untapped if you pay 2 life. Oh, okay. Steam Vents was printed in Lorwyn Eclipsed, not Secrets of Strixhaven. Yes, the set is reprinting Storm-Carved Coast, the blue-red slow land, back into standard, but that's not what I mean. What I mean is that printed in Secrets of Strixhaven is a pile of new blue and red cards that will ensure Steam Vents is the best land in Standard for the next 3 or so years. Not that it needed the help. I know. We're all sick of is it in Standard, and let's be honest, everywhere else. I know I certainly am. That's why for this video, I refuse to talk about a single is it card, or Prismari card, or whatever you want to call them. If a card is in red and blue, I'm leaving it off our list. This, of course, doesn't mean I won't talk about any cards that are red or blue. I just won't talk about any card that is red and blue. Know what I mean? If you want to know the red and blue gold cards that will likely be good in Standard, here, I'll throw them up on screen for 2 seconds. All right, there you go. You satisfied? Because that's all the Prismari you're going to get. For this video, we will be covering the best new cards from Secrets of Strixhaven for all non-Commander formats. We're going to be covering Standard, of course, but yeah, Pauper as well. Modern, yes. Legacy, there's even a few cards for Legacy. 60-card formats need love too, you know. That's one of the reasons I created the Academic Deck Box, a deck box for everyone. Oh my god, are we in an ad? Well, it's me, so kinda? Look, the Academic is back in stock at game stores worldwide. It's a deck box I helped create alongside the legendary Gamegenic. And if your local game store doesn't have the Academic, you can get one via my affiliate link at cardkingdom.com/TCC. The main compartment of the Academic can hold 133 double-sleeved cards, so yes, even a triple-sleeved Commander deck can fit, or a Commander deck in perfect hard inner sleeves, but it also means that it can fit Standard, Pauper, Modern decks, tons of tokens. I like to use it as a draft kit with basic lands and sleeves when I go to Friday Night Magic. It also holds top loaders, and the removable trays not only are great for dice and tokens, but each tray holds 40 double-sleeved or 50 single-sleeved cards. So you can have 2 double-sleeved Modern decks in the main compartment, and then put their sideboards each in a tray. There's so many different configurations here. So go on down to your local game store, and if it's not in stock there, you can go visit www.cardkingdom.com/TCC and find it there, alongside all my other favorite products and accessories, not to mention Card Kingdom's library of great deals on singles from throughout Magic's history. Is it a sponsor? Is it? Kinda, but it's also me, the professor, and it's over, so let's dive right into our list, shall we? We'll be covering all non-Commander formats, but let's begin with Standard. Even with all the Is It running around, Standard is in a really good place right now. I mean, besides its price. Its price is high. Honestly, the price is outrageous, but the gameplay is fantastic, and it's truly a ton of fun. And thank Jace, Secrets of Strixhaven seems poised to improve upon an already great format. There are cards from all 5 colors that are likely to see Standard play, and even one that's colorless. What a spread! First up, we have a card that's a better version of a worse version of a historically great card. Flashback. Yes, it's literally called Flashback. Flashback is a 1-mana red instant that, can you guess what it does? I'll give you 3 seconds. If you guessed, gives a spell in your graveyard flashback. Great job. Reading the name of the card does explain the card. Flashback is obviously reminiscent of every blue player's favorite creature, Snapcaster Mage. But as we've learned from another preview card that received far more hype than was due, Snapcaster Mage is not so simple to replicate. During Guilds of Ravnica preview season, everyone lost their freaking minds at the reveal of Mission Briefing due to its similarity to Snapcaster Mage. For 2 blue mana, Surveil to, then you can cast an instant or sorcery from your graveyard. Some people even thought Mission Briefing would be better than Snapcaster thanks to that surveil. However, as was immediately obvious the moment anyone tried playing with Mission Briefing, the body on Snapcaster was a huge part of its strength. Spending 2 more mana to flash something back at instant speed is too steep a price if you don't tack on all the added benefits a 2 mana 2/1 with flash provides. So is flashback more like Mission Briefing or more like Snapcaster? Well, I think there's a good chance it's closer to Snapcaster, mostly because it costs half as much mana. Now that we've assigned the effect give a spell in your yard flashback at a rate of 1 mana, it's clear that Snapcaster Mage is actually a Savannah Lions with flash that casts flashback on resolution. That honestly tracks with how it feels to cast a Snapcaster Mage in this day and age. In Standard, flashback has the potential to be a huge deal for Jeskai control specifically. The optionality of flashing back any spell in your yard is enticing all the way up the curve. In the early game, maybe you flash back a Spell Snare or a No More Lies. In the mid-game, perhaps a Stock Up or a Day of Judgment. In the late game, why not cast an 8-mana Jeskai Revelation from your yard? Look, I know predicting that a mageless Snapcaster effect will be good is dangerous preview season territory, but this time I think we might have a genuinely good card. Next up, we have the only standard legal, mostly unconditional, non-white board wipe. That's a lot of words to say. This is a powerful and unique card. Vicious Rivalry is a sorcery for 2 generic, a black, and a green that reads, as an additional cost to cast this spell, pay X life. Destroy all artifacts and creatures with mana value X or less. If that sounds familiar, that's because it's a similar effect to one of the best board wipes in Magic, Toxic Deluge. Yes, it costs 1 more mana, but it also hits 1 more permanent type. And it checks mana value, not toughness. The art on Vicious Rivalry features 2 angry boys positively going to town on each other. I'm sure we'll get a heated rivalry reskin of this card in a secret lair before the year is out. Some of you sickos might actually be working on proxies. Witherbloom isn't the most popular color combination in the Standard meta right now, but I have a feeling that Toxic Yowie Deluge might be just what a green-black X deck needs to crawl its way back into meta relevance. Virtually every relevant creature in Standard costs 4 mana or less. Many of them cost 2 or less. The only home Vicious Rivalry could realistically find among current meta decks is in the sideboards of Standard Living End. Simultaneously clearing away an aggressive onslaught while also nabbing a Soul Guide Lantern is precisely the kind of killing 2 birds with 1 bazooka effect that unfair decks love to have access to. Vicious Rivalry is an exceptionally powerful board wipe that currently lacks an ideal home, but I think that there's a good chance this Witherbloom rare will breathe new life into stale deck lists. Next up is a massive card that's capable of dealing 20 damage in a single turn with only a little bit of setup, and for just 1 mana. The Dawning Archaic is a 7/7 legendary avatar with reach that costs 10 generic mana. What? 10 generic mana in this economy? Well, no. You see, the Dawning Archaic costs 1 less mana for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. What's more, when it attacks, it'll cast 1 of those instants and sorceries in your yard for free. Is it Spelementals has already proven how easy it is to cast big creatures whose costs are reduced by instants and sorceries in the yard. Now, a generic cost of 10 is a lot more than 5. Which is the reducible amount on the Elemental's Hearth Elemental and Eddie Merc Crab. But between Opt and Sleight of Hand, the density of cheap removal, and all the looting and surveilling in blue and red, there really are a ton of ways to fill up your yard with cost reduction fodder in Standard. What's more, there's a card in Standard custom built to make Dawning Archaic really pop off. A little common from Tarkir Dragonstorm known as Wild Ride. If you get enough spells in the yard, card, then you can cast the Dawning Archaic for free, and then spend 1 mana to give it +3/+0 in haste. It'll then attack immediately, flashing back an instant or sorcery in your yard for free. And if that instant or sorcery is a bulk up, well, you've got yourself a 27 attacking out of nowhere. All you had to spend was a single red mana to get there. Granted, this is a combo that is extremely fragile to graveyard hate. With a Rest in Peace in play, Dawning Archaic is about as useless of a card as you can get. But the mana efficiency of this 3-card combo makes me suspect it'll be at least fringe viable in Standard, especially in everyone's favorite format, Arena Best of 1. Next up, we have another rare from the College of Witherbloom, and this one, I have a lot more confidence in the impact it will make. Dina's Guidance. Dina is an instant for 1, a black, and a green mana that lets you search your library for a creature card and put it either in your hand or in the graveyard. Dina's Guidance is the perfect card for Standard Living End, or really any Superior Spider-Man deck, as it curves perfectly into your powerful 4-drop Arachnid hero while fetching up the Spider Guy himself or simply entombing the card you want to reanimate. Bringer of the Last Gift, Deceit, and Craterhoof Behemoth are all great choices for Dina's Guidance. Dina's Guidance is admittedly similar to Formidable Speaker, a card that, at least in Standard, hasn't quite lived up to the significant hype it received in preview season. But there are some stark differences between Speaker and Guidance. First of all, Dina's Guidance is an instant, so it better plays around counter magic and other disruption. It's also inherently more flexible for finding either half of your reanimation combo. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, Speaker requires you to discard a card to get your tutor off. That makes it a terrible top deck when you're empty-handed. The same is not true for Dina's Guidance. There's a world where Living End plays both Dina's Guidance and Formidable Speaker for maximum consistency, which would also give the deck a lot more reason to run a toolbox of one of Silver Bullets. But regardless of whether Formidable Speaker sticks around in Living End, Dina's Guidance will absolutely make its way into the deck list, and may even spawn a totally different kind of Superior Spider-Man Reanimator deck. Before we move on to other formats, there's one last card whose primary relevance is the Standard format, and that's a removal spell I still can't believe is real. I mean, they really did it with this one. Erode is a 1-mana white instant that destroys target creature or planeswalker, with the very real drawback of letting them tutor up a basic land to put into play tapped. Magic boomers may recognize this card as a functional reprint of Path to Exile. Yes, it is a lot worse to destroy something than it is to exile it, but in exchange for that drawback, Erode has a massive advantage over its ancestor. It can hit planeswalkers. It's hard to overstate just how badly Azorius control decks have been craving a true unconditional 1-mana removal spell. Yes, Seam Rip is a good card, but it's really nowhere close to the same power level as Erode. Of course, it's not quite that simple. One of the reasons Erode is so likely to be great in Standard is because it'll be played alongside Seam Rip. The biggest downside to Path to Exile is when you're forced to use it in the first 2 turns to answer an early threat. Killing a 1 or 2 drop while giving your opponent an extra land in play is almost never going to be worth it. I mean, if you have to give your opponent a land in order to bolt their bird, then what's the point of bolting the bird? But Seam Rip mitigates this problem. Now you have a great 1-mana removal spell for the first few turns of the game, and a great 1-mana removal spell for the later turns in the game. In the late game, your opponent might not even have a basic to search up. What's more, Erode pairs exceptionally well with Wan Shi Tong, the current control win con of choice in most Azorius decks. If you're drawing a card off of your opponent searching up a land to put into play, the drawback gets mitigated substantially. Now, between Demolition Field and Erode, Azorius control decks can play a full 8 cards that trigger your Wan Shi Tong while you interact with your opponent. I'm sure control players everywhere let out an audible gasp when they first saw Erode previewed in Secrets of Strixhaven, and I don't blame them. It's the single most important card the archetype has seen in Standard since the advent of No More Lies more than 2 years ago. Get lost, get lost. There's a new premier white removal spell in Standard, and Pioneer for the 10 stubborn players who refuse to put their Teferi Hero of Dominarias back into their trade binder. Let's move on to Modern. What cards from Secrets of Strixhaven are sure to make a major impact on the modern format? Wow. Moving on to Legacy, Seriously, there's not a single card in this set that will make any significant impact in Modern. What do you want me to do, lie to you? Maybe Flow State, maybe Petrified Hamlet will see some play, but for the most part, I feel that Secrets of Strixhaven passes right over the Modern Horizons block-constructed format. But hey, Modern players, maybe you'll get some real bangers in Marvel's superheroes. Just you wait. In the meantime, believe it or not, there's actually not one but two cards for Legacy from Strixhaven that we want to highlight, though this next one exists in the liminal space between formats because it will also see standard play as well. Flow State is a sorcery for 1 and a blue that looks at the top 3 cards of your library, putting 1 into hand and the other 2 on the bottom of your library in any order. But if you have both an instant and sorcery in your graveyard, you instead get to take 2 cards from those top 3, still putting the remaining 1 on the bottom of the deck. Flow State certainly takes some setting up to be good, but the max value mode is an extremely powerful source of card selection and advantage in spell-based decks. Picking the best 2 of your top 3 cards is just so much better than simply drawing 2 cards for 2 mana. It's honestly closer to drawing 3 cards for 2 mana than it is to drawing 2. In Standard, blue-red decks can run Opt, Burst Lightning, and any of the new Prismari cards that I refuse to name in this video to fulfill the instant count. Then for sorceries, Sleight of Hand, Boomerang Basics, and Stock Up fully cover your bases. You can also run Impractical Joke, the Strangle variant from Secrets of Strixhaven, to boost your sorcery count even higher. In Legacy, Flow State will be at its best in Dimir decks running playsets of Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize, Ponder, and Preordain fulfill the sorcery count, while cards like Brainstorm, Force of Will, Daze, and Fatal Push cover instants. Being a card advantage spell that doesn't trigger Orcish Bowmasters is a huge deal in Magic's oldest format. Flow State is reminiscent of a card from our first visit to Strixhaven, Expressive Iteration. It's not as powerful as Expressive Iteration, but it's less restricted to a specific color. And Expressive Iteration was banned in both Pioneer and Legacy, so even if Flow State is a little worse than its predecessor, it's still likely to be good enough to stake out a home in at least Legacy, and likely Standard, and what's the other one? Pioneer as well. And you know, Flow State may also prove good in Modern, but I'm a little less sure of it there. Modern is a format mostly defined by creatures these days, rather than high densities of instants and sorceries. What's more, Expressive Iteration is still legal in Modern, making it the card draw spell of choice for a spell-slinging deck like Izzet Prowess. But there's more for Legacy from Secrets of Strixhaven. What's next? A land of great power. No, not Steam Vents. I did that joke already. Alas, poor wasteland, I knew him, Gavin Verhey, a land of infinite salt, of most excellent utility. It hath borne games on its back 1,000 times, and now how abhorred in my deck lists it is. Move over, Shakespeare. There's a new best play of all time, shutting off wasteland with a single land drop. Petrified Hamlet is a land that taps for colorless mana, and when it enters, it asks you to choose a land card name. When you do, all activated abilities of that chosen name can't be activated, except of course for mana abilities. It then gives those named lands the ability to tap for colorless mana. In other words, it's a pithing needle for lands. Petrified Hamlet is a card that has a lot, and I mean a lot, of interactions in Magic simply by virtue of there being so many lands with activated abilities. Channel lands, fetch lands, shifting woodland. We could spend the rest of this section going over every land in Standard, Pioneer, and Modern that Petrified Hamlet can shut off. But the truth is, none of those formats are the best home for this new land, outside of perhaps a single copy in Modern Tron to answer Boseiju out of Amulet Titan. No. Petrified Hamlet's greatest utility is in Legacy, a format hounded by its boogeyman, Wasteland. Planar Nexus decks, for instance, can run Petrified Hamlet to preemptively protect its precious mana from the slings and arrows of outrageous land destruction. Lands decks can tutor for it at instant speed with a crop rotation to answer a pesky Maze of Ith, or lock out an in-hand Boseiju. It can even be used to shut down a tacky production of Dark Depths at the Thespian stage. It's important to note that Petrified Hamlet's ability is a when this enters trigger, not an as trigger, meaning that your opponent will get an opportunity to activate abilities in response to it entering. So long as you play it proactively, you will be safe, but just remember not to play it if you're already staring down an untapped wasteland. Petrified Hamlet is a groundbreaking new tool for land-based legacy decks, and I can't wait to see the impact it has on the format as a whole. But enough about legacy. 2 cards is enough for you people. Now, on to the true bastion of eternal magic, the People's format, Pauper. There are 80 new commons in Secrets of Strixhaven, but only one of them stands at the top of its class, prepared to carve a home for itself in this powerful Pauper meta. Studious First Year is a 1/1 bear wizard that costs a single green mana and enters prepared. While Studious First Year is prepared, you can cast the sorcery Rampant Growth from exile for 1 and a green to search your library for a basic land card and put it into play tapped. This card is just what my beloved 4-land spy deck loves to see. A cheap body that can tutor 1 of your 4 lands directly into play, accelerating you to 4 mana to cast Balustrad's Spy. Then, when you put your whole deck in your graveyard, Studious First Year can help flashback the Dread Return you've milled to reanimate the Lotlith Giant you've also milled to dome your opponent for about 600 damage. There are also many fairer homes for this Ursine try-hard. Red-green monsters, for instance, would love to ramp into a boarding party or Annoyed Altasaur. Or, if you're lucky, into an Annoyed Altasaur, which then cascades into a boarding party, which can then cascade into, I don't know, an Avenging Hunter? Why not? They're already in Magical Christmas Land. In Ponza, Studious First Year can accelerate you into some acid moss ahead of curve, which then accelerates you even further while sending your opponent back to the Stone Rain Age. And from there, you can ramp into a boarding party or an Annoyed Altasaur, or an Annoyed Altasaur into a boarding party into a... Wait, am I having deja vu? Annoyed Altasaurs all the way down. I love Pauper! Studious First Year is generically powerful enough to see play in all kinds of different decks that want to get ahead on mana while leaving a critter in play to clog up the board. Many of the most powerful things you can do in green cost 4 or more mana, and Studious First Year seems poised to become one of the best ways to accelerate to those high power plays. Especially if the thing you're accelerating to is an Avenging Hunter, having an additional body on board once you begin an initiative battle is a big deal. And there you have it, all the best new cards from Secrets of Strixhaven for 1v1 constructed formats, but now I want to hear from you. Did I leave out any cards that you would have liked mentioned? Do you agree with me about there being no real relevance for Modern from this set? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, the Academic Deck Box is back in stock over at Card Kingdom in multiple colors. Just go to cardkingdom.com/TCC to browse not only my favorite products and accessories, but also to check out the Academic Deck Box and Card Kingdom's massive library of Magic the Gathering singles and other great deals. Thank you, Card Kingdom, for sponsoring not just this video, but our channel for well over a decade now.
Next time on Shuffle Up and Play.
Class is in session. It's Shuffle Up and Play's Secrets of Strixhaven pre-release episode, What's Sus? Because secrets. Who opens up this box?
I need this! I am so tired of turtles you do not understand. I am going to lose it!
Look!
Oh, I got
secrets. Oh, secrets.
Is a returning mechanic in this set, and this is one of the most well-known
secrets
cards.
I will play
secrets.
It's a
secrets.
that can.
I got secrets. I didn't realize it was in the special guest.
I didn't know either.
I got
Wait, there's
special guest
secrets.
That's so cool.
If you ever find yourself with a good prop and an evil prop, and they're saying, I'm the real prop, just ask them to count to 3.